of an emotional and mental ask for Coco this time around against Venus versus last summer at Wimbledon?
Well, I mean, everything was new for her at Wimbledon, whereas now it's almost like she's a veteran. She belongs. She did the pre-tournament event with Federer and Nadal. It felt like she belongs, and she's done it before. So it's always more difficult to do something for the first time. So now she's like, oh, piece of cake.
Since that match, she has won a title. She's won in doubles. She's had more big stage matches at the U.S. Open. I mean, I think there was really a self-belief. And one of the storylines here was this be Venus's chance for revenge. I think the real theme here was just Coco Gauff knew she could beat this player on the other side of the net, no matter how sort of glorified she was.
And if there was awe the first time around, and we all remember that storyline about her playing in her first Grand Slam main draw match, one of the women that she idolized as a kid, still being a kid in most respects, was there less awe this time around?
Well, I think she absolutely. I mean, the respect is still there, but certainly no fear. And again, the knowledge that she's done it before on Venus's favorite surface. Now she's coming onto a court that favors Coco a little more. That had to give her confidence as well. And again, she looks like she belongs. She's been here before in a previous life, perhaps.
Tight tie break. Things could have gotten squirrely for her here, but she was very steady, John.
Very steady, and she really had a game plan. I mean, even on these highlights, you can see she's getting Venus on the move, and she's playing the backhand, and she'd not just come out here to strike balls with Venus Williams. Look at that nice touch at the net. This is a lot more than what we're accustomed to in terms of the variety, the lazy Susan of entrees from a young player.
All right, so a very solid finish. That was a little bizarre because the ball was not up and it wasn't clear immediately, but then they sorted it out and shook hands once again. Here's what Coco had to say about her goals now as her landscape changes.
I mean, my mission is to be the greatest. That's my goal, to win as many Grand Slams as possible. But for today, my mission was to win. I believe I can beat everyone. Now, if that happens, I don't know. But I think that's almost every player's mentality, I feel like, or the ones who are the great ones. They don't really fear anyone. They respect your opponent, but you can't go into the match fearing someone, because then you're going to lose, and I don't want to lose.
So she's confident, certainly by any standard, certainly for a 15-year-old. When she says, I believe I can beat anybody, that's not the hubris, the cockiness of a teenager, is it? That's founded on a genuine belief that she can beat anyone.
Well, she's been groomed for a long time for this, so she always felt like she's going to do it, but now she's actually backing it up with doing it, beating top players at major events, major stadiums. Again, looking so comfortable at it. I don't want her to get too far ahead, winning as many majors as possible, but I think then she brings it back to now, okay, I need to win the next match. So I think the biggest maybe challenge for her and her team will be to really keep it in the moment and not get too far ahead of themselves.
I don't know if it's the way the lines are delivered or what we know about her beyond what we see here. This really comes across as completely healthy and even very applaudable self-confidence and not brash cockiness. I think there is perspective. It's kind of nice to have a teenager say, yeah, I want to win a whole bunch of these. So wish her luck.
Well, you win one match, then you get people looking at your draw. So let's look at her draw. She's got Sorana Cirstea in the second round. Cirstea, bear in mind, just had to pull out of Hobart with a leg injury, so she's not fully healthy. Then possibly Osaka after that. I know we say don't get ahead of ourselves, but let's get ahead of ourselves. Go ahead.
Let's get ahead of ourselves by one round. And we talked about the rematch with Venus Williams. We might get a U.S. Open rematch with the defending champion, Martina.
Let's hope for a Gauff-Osaka matchup. That's when you can really measure yourself against the best in the world. And that's why Coco knows that she can get to the top, because she's already matched up really well against players that have been there.
A lot of American flags in that section of the draw, 4 to be precise. I know, Martina, you have been keeping an eye on some of the technical changes she's made to her game, in particular how she's attacking second serve with more aggression lately.
Well, I think the women have been doing it, generally speaking, but Coco, you see where she's standing. She's right on the baseline, moving forward as she's hitting the ball. Of course, she was picking on the Venus Williams backhand. Most of her returns were going to Venus's backhand, but the position is what enabled her to win so many points on Venus second serves. And she's not afraid of moving forward. She doesn't necessarily want to come to the net, but when the opportunity is there, she's moving forward and she's very comfortable there.
And bear in mind, just one more event Indian Wells, we've got age restrictions to deal with. Are we okay with that still, guys? That she can't just play every week even though she's top 100?
I will go even further and say I think this worked awfully well. I think this is actually a smashing success, and her play was limited. It didn't seem to inhibit Coco. She didn't seem to burden herself with so much expectation when she could play, and now she's getting more mature, getting accustomed to this life. She'll get to play more events once she turns 16. It's working great.
She turns 16 during Indian Wells, and from that point forward for the next 12 months, she can play 16 events, which is pretty close to a full schedule.
It's a full schedule. It's perfect for her.
All right, so Coco into the second round. Jim Courier joins when we come back. Day 3 in Melbourne on the way.